Good afternoon. This is Bob with County Records Research, and we're getting ready to begin our presentation for our Wednesday webinar, January 4th, 2017. Welcome. This is our first webinar for the year of 2017. We anticipate that this is going to be an excellent year for investing in foreclosure properties. Welcome aboard to the website and the opportunity to research all your potential opportunities in the foreclosure marketplace. I've activated the visual portion of our presentation so you can see our website. This is our home page where I'm getting ready to log into my account. This is our basic introductory presentation, so I am going to walk you through some basics just so you know the website and how you can access the various pieces of information we have available to you. So first of all, as I view the website, I've got some banner advertisement in the center. Our trustee sale bidding service is the second banner here, and this refers to the ability to use our bidders that actually work the auction locations for you. We currently have a full-time bidder working in Los Angeles County, and that's at the locations in Pomona, so that we can buy for you on Civic Center Drive and Thomas Street. That's in Pomona. There's a third major location in LA County, that's Sycamore Drive in Norwalk. Now that is a location that only holds auctions about twice a month. And we don't normally have someone at that location. We can put someone there sometimes on demand if we have foreknowledge that that's something that you're intending to do. Just let us know if you have any requirements other than these two Pomona locations. We are also able to find bidders to work these other locations such as San Bernardino and Riverside and Orange County, and you'll note that we say please call for availability. Those are additional locations. Our primary two in Pomona are the ones where we pick up the most property opportunities simply based on a volume basis. So the more properties go to sale at a certain location, the more likely it is that our bidder is going to pick up a property for you there. So Pomona is the most commonly bid on location in our service, and these two locations are served by the same bidder because the auction times differ far enough apart that we can have one bidder work both locations. So that's a great spot if you're looking to buy anywhere in Los Angeles County. Notice Pomona's in eastern LA County, but those sale locations cover about 90% to 95% of Los Angeles County proper, all the way from Palmdale and Lancaster on the north, down to Long Beach and Cerritos in the south. So you got a lot of opportunity in that area, and that's from the shoreline along the coast all the way over to the eastern edge of Los Angeles County, where it borders San Bernardino County. So you get a lot of opportunity there in San Gabriel Valley as well. So give us an opportunity to use the bidding service to help you, and you're going to definitely see why many of our clients have bought successfully using our bidding service. So if I had a bidding account, I could log in here by using typing in my username and password. If I simply wanted to start an account, I would click here as it says so and fill in my little form here to start my bidding service account. This is a free account to set up. It is a companion to your primary account on the website, and it's simply intended to give you the ability to give us bid requests on properties. In conjunction with that, you'd also want to provide us with the cashier's checks to make your bids happen, and then that becomes a real legitimate bid on a property, and you can simply bid online, and we'll see the bid now option as we go through and review properties in our presentation. Moving forward, if I go back to my home page here on the top left, then I'm right back to the original image that I had on the home page. Now below our banner account banner ads for the bidding service, you'll see our property search widget. This is a function if I wanted to do a free search. If you have a website of your own and you want to promote County Records Research, we have an affiliate program. The information for that is located under this button on the right-hand side, County Records Research Affiliate Program. One of the benefits of that relationship is that you can refer people to us, and one of the ways that you can do that is you can have this search widget on your website if you have one, and then people can search properties on your site by putting in their search requests, and then you get the leads generated from those requests. Also, if you set that up and they link from your site to our site, then you actually gain the potential to make income if people come to our service from your website and then decide to subscribe to our data. So we do reward our friends that bring us relationships in that way. We also want to make sure that you know that you can use our search widget as a function on your site if you're trying to develop traffic to your site and potentially build leads where you can actually be using our services to develop a customer base and help people to buy properties using the services that we provide for you. We've had a number of clients that have done just that, using a conjunction of their main account, the bidding service account, and then the search widget. They've been able to actually start putting a bidding program together where they work with multiple investor clients, and those investors provide them the cashier's checks, and then they simply place the bids through the bidding service to buy at the auction. And that way they're able to actually research the properties for their investor clients, because a lot of the investors don't have time. So what they do is they act as the in-between party, the party that's going to research the properties, develop the bid instructions, and then tell us which properties to bid on and how much you're willing to pay. See, an investor who can get a relationship like that with somebody might be willing to pay a nice finder's fee on every property purchased. For a realtor, it's a wonderful opportunity to simply acquire properties and then hold the listings and conduct the open houses. So there are a variety of ways that you can use our structured program to be able to benefit whatever your business model is, built around the process of buying foreclosures. That being said, let's move on with the basic instruction on the site. On the left-hand side, you can see our primary control panel. From home to log in on down, we have various buttons to access the various pages on the site. Property search, I can only go into once I've logged into my account. Okay, and pricing just gives a basic rundown on our three main price points for the website itself, and they're broken down to one zone for $89, two zones for $154, or our bulk rate of $195 for everything. Okay, and if you're working with a team, the everything method works the best way, I feel, because that way you can segment your interests. You can have a friend that works Riverside County, a friend that works LA County, and a friend that works San Diego County, and everybody works their own target area, and they split the costs of the data between the three of them. It works out great. Okay, now below that we have testimonials. Now, training and support is the one category that's broken into sections, and this is our training and support breakout with Foreclosure 101 as the primary. This is our article that develops the different status of the auction properties through the foreclosure process, and it also walks you through the different methods of purchasing these properties. If you haven't read this article, it's well worth your while to make it part of your methodology to be able to understand the basic steps of foreclosure, develop any questions that come out of reading this information, and make sure you address those questions with us when you can, so that you can again develop your mindset on how do I want to buy these properties based on what the steps of foreclosure are. You need to know the steps of foreclosure, and you need to know how to analyze the property profiles in order to figure out where you're going to go from there. How am I going to buy particular properties? I don't know unless I know the different steps, and unless I know how to evaluate a property based on reading the profile. We educate you on Fridays in the process of reading the profile and applying these basic suggestions, okay? So today we're going to be more focused on the A's, B's, and C's of the website itself and how we develop our research techniques. Then on Friday we're going to look at some specific properties and decide how we would buy those properties based on the information provided. Okay, so this is our Foreclosure 101. Below that is industry terms and definitions. This is simply a glossary, terms in a written format so that you can open this up 24/7 and find out what a term might mean that you might come across in your research and just kind of get a better feeling for what that specific term refers to. Below that is our free resources and links page. Now, this is a combination of things. This is a variety of different websites, from law firms to insurance providers to an online forum called flipperconnection.com, which is a newer type of opportunity for people to interface that have a common interest, which is researching and buying properties. Foreclosureforum.com is a great site. It's been around for a long time from a friend of Kurt's who's really developed a lot of training methodology. If you haven't visited this site, it's got a lot of articles and is a good reference point to learn different ways that you can hold title on properties and investment techniques. You can also contact them and ask questions and even get one-on-one training if you want to develop more techniques. It's a very advanced level of training, but some people have really gotten a lot from it. Below that are some real estate club links that you can go to find out about clubs that are in the area. We also have a section on the site specifically for that too, to look up clubs. And then below that we have links to attorney websites, transfer tax rates if I'm transferring title on a property, PACER, which is how we research court records in the event of a bankruptcy filing. Most of that type of thing you're not going to end up using a lot, but once in a while it might come up as a value. Our municipal code library for city zoning codes. Here are a couple of insurance providers you might need. And then finally we have some reference information to articles, forms for legal forms, and then our affiliate program information is down here as well if you want to learn more about the program itself or that widget, the research widget that I showed you on the main page. Okay. Now, further down the page we have a video training, and this is simply a recorded presentation that Kurt did in the past. You can find this on our YouTube channel, but this is also an instant, easy link to watch Kurt's video presentation, so that's helpful. Below that is how to use this website. This is a series of mini videos. They're each about 3 or 4 minutes long that walk you through different functions of the site, and again it's just to give you access to some training that can offset a lack of information if you happen to be, burning the midnight oil or working over the weekend and you just want to look up something and get a better idea. It might be a title that's covered here. So just remember that that's there so that you again have resources if we're not available, or if you simply want to supplement asking us questions, you can always use these resources. Below that is our frequently asked questions. And these are, again, like our glossary. This is just a series of answers to questions that people have given us over time. And we try to, again, give you some points of reference so as you're looking at information, you can kind of make sense of it if you can't get one of us on the phone right away to get the answer to the question that you got. Below that is our forms page, and this is going to be a lot of value to you if you're making offers, or if you're acquiring properties and other methods and you need to use the necessary forms, whether it's to gain access to a property 24 hours after the auction or to hand someone a 3-day notice to quit. The most common form that you're going to find used on this section or on this part of the site is item number 22, which is our real estate purchase contract and deposit receipt. This is a simple 2-page offer letter where I place the offer in the hands of the owner of the property to buy the property from them directly. Okay, so this is a very basic offer form to state my intent to buy a property. How much do I want to spend to buy it? If I'm taking over existing loans, I specify that on the contract. If I'm coming in with a brand new loan, or if I'm coming with cash, I can specify right on the agreement. Now, item 22 is the blank form that you print out and make photocopies so you can write up offers. Practice. Practice makes perfect, and you want to get comfortable making an offer to the property owner, and be familiar with what the different sections on the form mean in case they ask you questions, so that at least you have a good working knowledge of what it is that you're offering them and what the offer form actually says. Okay, it's very simple if you've read through it a few times and understand it. You do want to do that, though. You want to get a familiarity with it if you're going to hand it to someone else and have them potentially ask you questions. The more comfortable you are with yourself and what you're doing, the more comfortable the seller is going to be with the process of you making that offer, and the higher degree of success you're going to have in the offers that you make. Okay, now further down the list, you see a lot of other forms, some of which you may never use, others you might come to use more often, like our power of attorney for our bidding service. Okay, so every one of these forms has a specific purpose or purposes. Some have multiple purposes, but everything is intended to fall within the realm of your needs to acquire properties and to do it the right way and as quickly and efficiently as possible. So these are your forms. Okay, now below that we have our foreclosure processing section. This is a section that we focus on for our clients who buy notes or simply hold notes and come to us to process foreclosures. We've been doing that for many years. And what the foreclosure processing services do, that's where we act as a trustee, and that's where we process the documents necessary to create a foreclosure. This is part of why we as a company can provide you the supportive answers to your questions that many other companies in this business cannot, because they're not directly handling all these different processes. Only County Records Research provides you the data where we've done the research, and in addition processes foreclosures on a regular basis, and in addition to that has a bidding service where we buy properties for people at the auction, and in addition to that, the founders of the company are themselves active investors and having a direct knowledge base of having bought and acquired these properties in every method that we teach. So every method that we go over with you is a method that has been proven both by trial and error and by experience and research, so that when we tell you something, it comes from a position of strength. We're not guessing. We're coming from a historical reference point that we like to give to you, so you don't have to go through the school of hard knocks like we did. Okay, now below foreclosure processing is our 5-day free trial button. This is a button for someone who hasn't used our service before to get 5 free days to get in there and kick the tires and try it out and see what you think. We encourage you to do so, and we welcome your questions. Okay, now below that is Q&A with Kurt. That's the founder of our company. If you haven't met him already, he's a wealth of information, and you're going to see in just a moment where you're going to be able to meet him live and in person if you want to actually get a chance to ask him questions on how to use the data. You're going to find when you talk to Kurt, he's very straightforward. He's got a long history of using this type of information, and he's designed the website to be as easy to use and as simple to use as possible, because again, he's a very direct and straightforward person, and the website itself is very direct and very straightforward. It doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles and animation. We're focused on the data, and we're focused on the facts and helping you acquire properties below market value. So now that's this Q&A with Kurt, and those are a series of video answers that we've captured. Those are also on our YouTube channel, so you can always go on to our YouTube channel and get the information there. Now, below Kurt's photo is how to use this website again. That's those little videos. Below that is our calendar of seminars. Now, these are our live events that we do for you on a weekly or monthly basis, depending upon the event. The next field trip, which is at the top of the list, is going to be on the 13th of this month. Today is the 4th, so it's about 9 days from now. And this is going to be on Friday the 13th, the lucky foreclosure day. Well, maybe for you, maybe not for the person that's in the property. But what this is going to be an event at 700 Civic Center Drive in Santa Ana. That's Orange County. All of our field trips are going to be located in a specific county at the primary location where sales are held for that specific county. So this is one of the major locations in Orange County in Santa Ana. You'll notice the time is 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 1 p.m. The reason that it's at this time is that we schedule our field trips in conjunction with the primary time frame for the auctions at that location. So because we happen to know that they'll be holding auctions at around 1:30 at that location, we've scheduled it for 1 o'clock so that you can get there, get settled, join Kurt at the location outside the courthouse entrance, and then be ready to observe the auctions and ask questions. And it's an informative opportunity to spend about an hour and a half to 2 hours with Kurt, get your questions answered, and actually kind of absorb the whole process of the auctions taking place in front of you. Very beneficial. If you've never attended an auction before, it's always recommended that you do so. And all the auction processes in California follow the same pattern. So if you've seen an auction in Santa Ana and then you go to one in Pomona for LA County, you're going to find that they're virtually identical in terms of the process. Okay, so once you've gone to a few auctions, regardless of where you've gone, you're going to be familiar enough with the process to where you could go to a location you haven't been to and observe the auction and feel comfortable in knowing that the process itself is unchanged, and you're able to observe and see what goes on and come away knowing what happened at the auction. Now, below our trustee sale field trip information is our information related to presentations like the one I'm doing for you right now. These are our GoToMeeting website demonstrations using GoToMeeting software, where we provide you the 1 hour teaching event. In this case, today is Wednesday the 4th, so this is our introductory meeting where we teach you the basics of the site and how everything works. And then below it, you'll see click here to view our previous demonstrations. This is a link to our YouTube channel where it immediately goes into a presentation that I did in the past. So that's our weekly GoToMeeting demonstrations. Every Wednesday, like today, we teach the basics and navigation of the website, and then Friday we jump right in and we do research on properties to dissect them to see what the potential deals are, which properties I could buy at the auction, which ones I might buy notes on, etc. The process of dissecting and determining the best ways to buy a property is on Friday. That's our advanced investor presentation. Also, we have taken both our Wednesday and Friday presentations and loaded them on our YouTube channel. So again, over the weekend, you can get access to these type of demonstrations and learn more about the process. For those of you that are observing this from our YouTube channel, just bear in mind that we do these live every Wednesday and every Friday to give our new subscribers a chance to learn process, but more than that, to give our seasoned subscribers a chance to attend more of the Friday presentations 24/7 so that you can learn more and more about dissecting these properties, learning the processes of determining how we can buy them, because the more properties that you've evaluated, the easier the next ones become. Okay, the more properties that you've looked at, the more you're going to recognize patterns, and you're going to recognize methods that work here and don't work over here, and that'll save you a lot of time going forward. Okay, now below our website demonstrations are our speaking engagements. These are live events where you can meet Kurt in person, just like at that field trip where he's going to be in Santa Ana. Now, it just happens to be that he's going to be doing a presentation on the 10th, which is next Tuesday evening. He was invited by OCFIBI, that's For Investors by Investors. That's a meetup group. There's going to be a nice crowd there. and we expect to see a bunch of them also to show up for the field trip in Santa Ana. Now, this is going to be on MacArthur Boulevard in Irvine. I believe this is a hotel across from the airport. And if you get there, just get there a little early because he'll be speaking, and the presentation time is scheduled for around 7 to 9. I believe that it starts a little earlier than that for a little bit of networking and hobnobbing. If you haven't had a chance to attend any meetings to try to network with other like-minded individuals, it's always a good idea to try and get yourself to interface in a few of these just to get a sense of it and to see if you can bump into somebody that has a similar mindset and maybe some compatible skills or resources. You'll find as you get more involved in investing that sometimes you're going to have your skills, which might be recognizing a deal, versus somebody else that might have the resources of liquid cash to buy that property, and together you guys might partner up and find that you make a good team, and maybe you bring in a third party that's a contractor that can spot a property and figure out the estimate to do an upgrade really quick. And therefore you guys, between the three of you, can figure out the ones you like, how much it would cost to rehab and flip, and then actually have the resources to do it. So the more that you think ahead and have a plan, the more of your plans you're going to be able to bring to fruition, especially if you form a team. So it's always good to find a network and a place that you can meet like-minded people. Okay, now below our calendar of seminars, we have our seminar highlight podcasts. These are simply audio recordings of previous presentations that we've done that you can listen to in your vehicle, on your iPod, just sitting on your computer while you're working on other projects, putting some forms or offers together. You can always just listen to foreclosure basics or buying from the owners or any of these subjects here. If I go further down the page, then this is our blog. This happens to be one of my contributions to the site, and these are simply short articles where I've identified a success story. Okay, now it's not necessarily a success story that we say, oh, this is something Kurt did, or this is something that one of our other members of the company has done. These are success stories from anybody, any Tom, Dick, or Harry that's going to the auction and buying properties. Okay, now more specifically, these are going to be auction deals that we've identified, because those are, of course, what people kind of identify with foreclosure properties is buying at the auction. So the lion's share of these are going to reference properties that someone did buy at the auction and got a heck of a deal. Most of these are usually going to be in Los Angeles County, purchases at the Pomona location, because by far that's one of the locations that has the most successful activity, because so many of the properties in Los Angeles County are all sold in that very controlled spot. You know, if you have 200 properties going to auction in a single day, it makes it very easy to catch fish in a barrel, so to speak, by having a very small space with a lot of properties going to sale in a very short amount of time. That's why our bidder is there, because if you could place bids, 9 out of 10 properties, just tell us the most you're willing to spend, then what happens is if the opening bid is a lesser sum, then you've got a bidder there ready to capture it for you. Now, if you're going to go to the auction yourself, have a similar philosophy. Check out as many properties as you can. If you're going to go make offers, same thing. Check out as many properties as you can. The more opportunities you give yourself to succeed, the more times you will succeed. And it's just that simple. If you keep it that simple in your mind, success is not far away. Okay, now that being said, I'm going to go back to the home page on the site. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select login, because we're going to move deeper into the website and learn more about it. So now I'm going to go ahead and log in with my username and my password. And I use my last name as my username, and then my password for today. And I'm not telling you what it is, it's a secret. And then I have my little image here below. This is now I can't make out what this third one is, because this little sketchy line that just comes through the center here, it's a little odd to me. So I'm going to click change image, and I think I know what I've got here. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can run with this. 3B, 3. Now notice I'm not capitalizing that B. We don't have to capitalize in the site, so don't worry about that. The main thing is just getting your order correct and having the right numbers and letters in sequence. And I see that I just, okay, looks like I got it right. Let's click on submit and see if I did. And lo and behold, I'm in the system. So now what I did is I hit change image to make sure that I could get into or that I could see an image that made sense to me that I could read. My eyes are not the best in the world, but you're going to find as you use the site, we're understanding that we don't have to be perfect. We just have to have techniques to our research that work the best for us. So now I've logged into my my account, so the welcome page is now visible. That gives me a list of my subscribed counties, zones. Below that is our property search. This is a button that I can grab. Notice the left-hand side didn't change. That's all the same from before, from the home page. Now, what did change though is above Kurt's photograph here, that 5 days free little icon is gone. Instead, I have my account access information under below the foreclosure processing button, so I can select my account. So this is my account information. So if I'm ever unsure of when my account renews, here's my renewal date right here is the 24th. I've got my email address if I ever need to change it, and I've got other information here. Okay, so this is all my my account information. Now, if you need to change something else like a credit or a debit card on the account, we do suggest that you give us a call and have us do that for you over the telephone. We're happy to do that for you. And we're here from 9 to 6 Monday through Friday. That's not just to answer questions, that's to service your account, but also to help you with any tips that you need on particular properties. And we encourage you to ask specific questions about specific properties. The more specific questions you ask and get answers to, the more you're going to develop in your mind how the process of buying these properties works. It'll get easier as you go. Trust me, it gets easier as you go as long as you look at multiple properties and absorb the differences between them. Because once you learn how to spot this deal from that deal, you're going to see patterns, and then it just gets easier as you go. Okay, now once I'm in my account, you'll notice that I have some tabs up on top that also match these options here on the left-hand side. I have my properties, I have my searches. Now, once I get into my properties folder, I'm going to have additional tabs. Let's look at my searches really quick just to see what that looks like. Okay, these are searches that I've saved on the website. Now, you'll notice some of them are highlighted in a blue image or a blue shade that indicates that I have activated the notifications function. You notice that anything that's shaded in blue under email notification option, it says deactivate. So this is my Fountain Valley Notice of Trustee Sale Polygon. I use acronyms and abbreviations because we've only got so many font characters to use, just like with a username and a password. So Fountain Valley NTS Poly to me is my Fountain Valley, which is part of Orange County. That's the city that I picked. The Notice of Trustee Sale or NTS, and Poly for Polygon. Okay. Now, when I hit the Activate Notifications option, it's highlighted in blue. If I click Deactivate, you'll notice that highlight is gone now, and it's no longer in blue. It's no longer shaded. Okay. Now, these are saved searches, and I'm going to show you just in a moment how we create these, but each of these is a saved search, and when I activate notifications, what happens is I'm creating an automated researcher within the County Records Research website that is now going to capture any properties that are within that search. Let me show you what I mean with my Fountain Valley Polygon. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the name of the search, and that's going to transport me to my property search screen. There's more than one way to get to it, so I'm going to show you more about this in a few moments. But notice what happened. I went to my property search screen by clicking on the name of my Fountain Valley search. Now, it selected for me the different characteristics of that search that I had created in the past. So I had created that search for Fountain Valley, which is in Orange County, so I had selected a zone. and it checked the box for me because that's what I did when I first set up the search. So Orange County is now selected and of course highlighted in blue. If I scroll further down, this is my general property search screen. This is where I set the parameters of that search. Now, I didn't make a lot of defining characteristics. I didn't really want to at the time because I was looking for anything in Fountain Valley. Okay, I know it to be primarily single-family residential, but it also has townhomes and condos, so I was open at that point to anything. So I didn't specify bedrooms or baths. I could have been very specific. I could have said 2-bedroom to 4-bedroom or 3-bedroom to 5-bedroom. I could have specified bathrooms, okay? Now, sometimes we're going to be in that mindset where we need to be very specific. You might have a client that says, find me 1-bedroom, 1-bath condos in Newport Beach, in which case you would select 1-bedroom in one and 1 in 1, and then over here on the right you might type in Newport Beach. Now, in my particular example, what I did is I created this polygon shape. This is a polygon. This is what this map down here is for. Whenever we pick a target area like Orange County, the system is going to isolate a map that's going to give us Orange County. In this case, it would have been about like this. What I then did was I zoomed in and I created a polygon around this target area around Fountain Valley. This particular trapezoid, that's a 4-sided figure that's not necessarily rectangular or square, and that's what this is straddling the 405 freeway right across Brookhurst Street, because that gives me pretty much the lion's share of the city of Fountain Valley, okay, which is in between Huntington Beach and Westminster and Santa Ana. Fountain Valley just sits right there. So I created this search and then I saved it by going up on top and hitting the Save This Search option right above Choose One. Once I did that, what the system did is it memorized everything that I did, and then it gave me a little window to give it a name. And I gave it a name, and then I saved it, and that saved right to my Searches folder, and there it is. And then I just hit my Activate Notifications option, and away I go. From that point forward, I created an email function where now I get these emails whenever a property pops up in that target area that allows me to just simply open it up. Now, I don't get one every day, but here's one that I got back on the 2nd of December on a house, 3-bedroom, 3-bath with a notice of trustee sale on Stonecrest Avenue in Fountain Valley that gave me an auction date. Okay, so whenever we set up a saved search function like this, what we're doing is we're creating an automated researcher that's going to go into the new records that pop up every weekday around noontime and then deliver to us a report around 1 o'clock. Okay, so these are all the saved searches that I created. Now, once I've done a search and I've found properties that I like, I save them to my Properties folders. So notice I've got a My Properties option on the left here and My Properties up on top. If I select My Properties, then these are profiles of addresses in the system. Now, every one of these is a profile based on a status of the auction. And if I scroll down a little bit, I just want to point out there's 2 main types. There are notice of sale records and notices of default. Whenever you have a report that includes both, you'll notice that notices of sale will be at the top of the report. Notices of default will be at the bottom of the report. Notices of sale have more information. Notices of default have less information. Notices of sale have an estimated bid amount for the auction, because a notice of sale is an invitation to investors to come to the auction. It's also a warning to the property owner and any junior lien holders that the auction's pending. Okay, so a notice of trustee sale is a notice to notify everybody for different reasons. Okay, it's notifying the junior lenders that they are going to be at risk of losing their lien on the property. It's notifying the property owner that they're going to lose their property at the auction, and it's notifying you and me that there's an opportunity. Okay, so these are notices of sale. They have a bid amount and they have a status. okay? And then they have also a sale date, okay? So they'll have a status, canceled, postponed, sale date. They will also have an auction date that has either passed or is in the future, okay? If it's in the future, it's pending. Here's one in February. If it's in the past, it's over. This one got canceled, okay? This one up here in Monterey, up in Northern California, this one got sold, okay? Now, notices of default are down below. Notice how you have all these blank spaces, because a notice of default is the very first shoe to drop in a foreclosure. It's a very simple notification. Mr. Smith, you owe me. You're behind on your payments. You haven't paid us since. As of date, it'll have an as of date, and it'll have a delinquent amount, okay? We don't show these in this area because they're not so important numbers, okay? All that matters with the notice of default is we know that the process of foreclosure has begun, okay? And that they have a certain amount of time before a notice of sale can be issued if the property owner does not take action. Now, because we know about these types of records, we are the ones that are going to try and influence that property owner to take action. We're going to try and make an offer to buy the property. That's our first way we get someone to try and take action. Another way is we can try and buy a note on a property where we're getting one of the lien holders to take an action. And then finally, we prepare to go bid at the auction because the lien holder or lender that has foreclosed on the property, they're already taking action. Again, they've started that train going down the track on their way to the actual auction itself, and if nothing happens to bypass it, that property will go to auction, and if we're at the right place at the right time, then it's we who will take advantage of the opportunity and buy that property below market value by bidding at the trustee sale, okay? So these are records that I've saved to my Properties folder, and we'll see in a moment how I do that. And now also notice that I have an all folder option here, but next to it I have a drop down menu, and these are my different folders that I've created for me. So there's my Fountain Valley folder because I have a Fountain Valley saved search, right? But I also have a Downey Apartments folder because I have interest in the city of Downey, and I happen to like multifamily properties. I have a Long Beach Houses folder because I have an interest in Long Beach, but I also like houses. So if I have a specific client that has a specific need, I can create a folder for that client. If I have a specific investment method that I prefer, I can have a folder for that. I have my second TD buyout for second lender buyouts. I have a first TD buyout folder because Kurt's been having great success lately buying first TDs. So I thought, why can't I do that? So I've got a first TD buyout folder, okay? But I also have my general folder, which is the main folder that's all of these, okay? Now, if I only want to see Bob's Houses, I have a Bob's Houses folder, of course, because my name's Bob and I like houses. So there's my Bob's Houses folder. So this is limited to just properties that I was looking at for me specifically that I saved to my Bob's Houses folder. Okay, so I've got one in Inglewood in LA County, Moreno Valley, which is Riverside County, and then Fountain Valley, which is Orange County. Okay, now these two are sale notices that were canceled. See here on the right, they were updated after I saved them. That's important to know. One of the things that we're doing when we save to our My Properties folder is this becomes our tickler. This becomes our update sheet that I can go to any time and look at the property that I saved before, and the system will update it for me automatically. Again, it's like having a researcher working for me invisibly, updating my records every day. Okay, now also notice I have a Manage Folders tab. This is my Manage Folders tab, so I can go in and I can add all these folders because these didn't magically happen. I decided I wanted a second TD buyout folder, so I created one. Now, on your page, on your account, you're probably going to see this little section down here at the bottom. That's going to be all the way up at the top because you don't have all this. You know, I made a mess. Look at all these different folders I created because here's one for hotels. Here's one for the city of Indio. Again, another interest that I have. Okay, so if I wanted to create an XYZ folder, I'll type in XYZ and I'll hit Add Folder, and it will drop it in alphabetically where it should be, right there at the bottom. Now I can drop all my XYZ properties in there, and then if I reach a point where I go, you know what, I'm tired of the XYZ folder, I don't need to see it anymore, then I can just click on the little checkbox next to it and hit delete. Now, notice, whenever we go to delete anything from the system says, are you sure? Okay, so we always get this little tickler that says, do you want to delete this folder? Okay, so I have to say okay. Now I just deleted XYZ, I got rid of it, okay? So we learned how to add it, we learned how to take it off, okay? So my Manage Folders tab allows me to do that, okay? My Properties tab allows me to see the properties that I've saved, and by selecting a specific folder, then I can focus just on the properties that are in that specific folder. Okay, so we've learned how to use our saved searches. We've learned how to save properties. Now let's go to our property search window. Now remember what I said before, you can select a saved search by clicking on the name of it, and that takes you to the My Properties window, but then it populates the whole search. Okay, what we want to do is see how we saved those searches to begin with. So remember what I showed you. I showed you that folder in Fountain Valley. Okay, so let's say I want to start another one. So I'm going to select Orange County. Okay, now notice I can select multiple counties if I want to. Okay, I'm not limited to just one. Now, that can create chaos for my mindset if I'm not sure of what I'm doing, and I don't want to get a mix of properties that are in different counties. If, for instance, I'm trying to isolate my methods and I want to go buy a house in Orange County by bidding at the auction, I certainly wouldn't want to pick San Francisco County as well and then be torn in different directions. Okay, so always remember, focus is good. If we want to look in a specific area, let's focus. So I'm going to have my Orange County tab, my Orange County zone only. Now notice I can put my cursor over the county and I get a list of cities that matches to that county. So I know I'm looking in the right place. If I want to buy in Seal Beach or Santa Ana or Rancho Santa Margarita, I know I'm in the right place. Similarly, I can put it over LA County South, and I know that if I want to look at Downey or Gardena or Hermosa Beach, I'm in the right place. It works with all of them, okay? I can also go down to all purchase zones in California if I wanted to cover the whole state. If, for instance, I had a specific client that said, hey, Bob, I want to buy hotels with anywhere in California, then I could be more general in terms of geography because I'd be more specific in terms of property type. Okay, remember, less is more as a general rule when you're doing your research techniques on the site. The more specific we get, the smaller the group of properties we're going to retrieve. But on the same token, you don't want to be so general that you pull a search of 3,000 properties, because then it's really hard to find that needle in the haystack. So I prefer to look for the stick in the bundle of sticks. It's just easier from my perspective. So I've got Orange County selected. Now I'm going to scroll down. This is my general property search. Now, once I've gotten to the general property search, notice there's a default set, and no pun intended, but our default is notices of default. Go figure. So now, notices of default is the first category in any foreclosure. That's the people that first get their very first notice, their first warning is that notice of default. So now, whenever we search notices of default, we're always going to search by listed date. That's the date we post the record to our site. Okay, so today's date is the 4th of January. So that is the final date. This is a range, by the way. Notice that when we're talking about bedrooms and baths, we have a range from any to any. When we're talking about listed dates, we have a range from December 21st to January. If I pick auctions, it's going to give me auction dates from today's date forward. Now notice this date range looks forward from today. If I go with notice of default, it's looking backward from today. The reason being is I'm looking into the past. If I'm looking for default notices we've already received. If I'm going to buy at auction, I need to look into the future so I can plan to attend auctions in the future. Okay. Also bear in mind, notices of default, this is a static report. By static, I mean it's non-changing. This group of properties is what it is, okay? If I pick upcoming trustee sales, then this is a moving target because these auction dates are subject to change. That's why every sale notice record in our system has a status. and an auction date, because that auction date can change. There can be properties that were set to go to auction today that got postponed to Friday. There could be properties that were set to go Friday that gets postponed to next Tuesday. Okay, so the bottom line is our auction date is a moving target, so therefore keep in mind we are always looking forward. Now, we can change this date range to a full month. If I wanted to look at the month of February, I could go from February 1st by changing from January to February and selecting the 1st, and then I could take this all the way to February 28th. I could search the whole month of February for upcoming sales, right? And let's say, for instance, that I want to go ahead and I want to make one of those little polygons. Now notice what I just did, and I kind of moved ahead of myself. I went down to my map and I centered my map on Fountain Valley. Notice, see my little hand guy here that moves my map around? That's how I can settle down into a target area. Remember that other polygon that I just did that was kind of like this big? Now I can do a very small polygon. Let's say I really like this mile square park, which I do. It's kind of a cool park. And let's say I want to make a polygon that wraps the park. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my mouse cursor where Burchard and McFadden cross. Right there, I'm going to go left click. Oops. Now, anytime you go to do a polygon, if you get this, that's what we call an artifact. That means that there was a point that was in the system from the last time I played with the map. So whenever I do that, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to hit clear map and get rid of that point because I don't want it, okay? Because remember, this is my polygon fresh right now for me. So now I'm going to go right back to that same point and I'm going to left click again. Now, it shouldn't have any lines. There shouldn't be anything there. It's invisible. Now I'm going to go over here to where it's got New Hope crosses McFadden, and I'm going to left click again. Now, there's the line that I want because I'm making a box around this park. So now I'm going to go down to where Slater crosses New Hope. I'm going to make a box or a point there. Now notice the system created the line in between the points. I'm not doing that. The system's just filling it in for me. Now I'm going to go over here. I'm going to cross the freeway to where Burchard and Slater connect. And I've made my third line by making my 1, 2, 3, 4th point. Now notice I've got 3 sides of a box, and now I've got one left that's going to go up Burchard Street from McFadden all the way down to Slater. Now I'm not going to make that line. I'm going to go over here on the right and I'm going to click close polyshape and I'm going to let the computer do it for me. Bam. Now what I just did is I made my nice little box. I used as a navigation tool the actual streets and boulevards to create this almost evenly square box around Mile Square Park, which of course is a square. So there you go. So now I've got a square around a square. And what I've done is I've created a poly shape that now defines the properties. Now, of course, I'm not going to buy a house in the park, which would be really cool. But no, I'm going to look for something to buy around the park by the box that I've created. Now, if I scroll up, remember I told you about hitting the save button. I'm going to hit save this search. Now, what the system just did is it just memorized the parameters that I'd created. Now, I could have made more parameters. I could have said 3-bedroom, 2-bath and above, only single-family residential by going to my property use and selecting residential. I chose not to. I chose not to add all those parameters in there because the more parameters that I add are going to influence the size of my research results. Because the big thing is this: I've made this tiny little box in Orange County surrounding a park, so I've only got this space of about a block in distance from the edges of the park itself, and I'm giving that as my search parameter. So I don't want to add a bunch of other parameters in there that is going to further decrease the results of my search. Okay, but I'm happy with this. I've got my polygon, I've got my county zone up on top. Important also, only one zone
when you want to have the automated search functions activate for you, only one zone. So what I've got here is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save this search. Now, it is Fountain Valley. All right, so I'm putting Fountain Val. I'm using shorthand, so to speak. Now I'm going to call this my poly for a polygon. Now I already had a Fountain Valley polygon, right? So I'm going to call this 2. I'm going to put a number 2 behind the word poly. And then finally I'm going to put NTS in capital letters because this is a notice of trustee sale search because it's upcoming sales. Don't worry about the dates. Okay, don't worry about this date range because once I'm going to automate my search function, every day new records that pop up that match this little box I made around the park, any new records that show up in this area are going to be emailed to me as part of my automated search function. So now I'm going to hit my save option. It transported me right back to my saved search page, and if I scroll down, it's always going to be at the bottom. Okay, anytime you make a new search, it's going to be at the bottom. Okay, so this is my Fountain Val Poly 2 NTS, so I know exactly what it is. Okay, and it's got an activate notifications function because I only chose one zone when I set it up. Now, if I hit the activate option, it's now automated. Okay, it's now an automatic search function. Anything that shows up in that funny little box around Miles Square Park, I'm going to get a notice of trustee sale notification. But wait, what's wrong with this picture? It's incomplete, right? What about notices of default, which is the first stage of foreclosure? I forgot to include those. I didn't forget it. I can only search one property type at a time, but that's okay because I have the magic of county records research. Watch what I do now. I'm going to click on the Fountain Valley Poly 2 NTS title. Remember what I did before, and it transported me to the search screen, and it gave me Orange County, and if I scroll down, it gave me that other polygon. Well, this time it's this one. Okay, so this is the polygon that I saved. Now I want to create the very same search function, but I want it to receive default notice records instead. That way I have 2 researchers on my staff that I don't have to pay. And they're pulling up my notices of sale right around Miles Square Park. Now I want the other researcher, you know, his twin brother, you know, what are the 2 guys on the Men in Black, the 2 aliens, such and such, and Bob. Okay, so we're going to make Bob. So I'm going to pick notices of default. Now notice all I'm doing is I'm changing the option under choose one from upcoming sales to notices of default. Notice the system switched over to the listed dates. Again, don't worry about the dates because we're setting up an automated search function. Doesn't matter. And I'm going to hit save this search. Now, system just memorized my funny little box. And now I'm going to put Fountain Val NOD. Oh, actually, what did I do last time? I did Poly 2, and before I did NTS, but now it's NODs, right? So now I'm doing NOD, and I'm going to hit save, right? So now I just created 2 brand new fresh searches. I'm going to activate this one as well. So now I've just created 2 automated searches that are going to go and retrieve any notices that pop up fresh and new from today forward, automated. I don't have to do a darn thing. They're going to pop up in my email inbox to notify me that something's happened. Now, let's do one more thing. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to click on my Fountain Valley NTS, that one, repopulate the report, go back down, and there's my polygon. Now, I want to see if there's anything in this polygon. Now, notice I have 2 different buttons to search. I have a search polygon button and a search without polygon. Now, if I hit search without, it's going to give me all the notices of sale within my default date range, which is today moving forward. And notice it gave me 0 to 20 of 341 records. Okay, so that ignored the polygon. Now, for the purposes of the demo, I'm using Google Chrome, so notice I've got these tabs up on top so I can hit my main page tab here on the left. Notice when I hit search without polygon, it ignored my little map here. So my search results are giving me notices of sale. Notice the different color coding. Okay, some of these are canceled, that's the red ones. Some of them are just upcoming sales, those are green. Some of them, one here already sold to a third-party buyer, so that one's already turned purple because that one's sold. So this was a property that went to auction today and sold. This one's in Newport Beach. This is a condo. This went to auction to a bidder. So this one is worth $659. The lender was owed $792, but they discounted it at auction. We had no opening bid announced, so this was announced at the auction. It was a surprise. The bank dropped the bid to around $590 something. The winning bidder paid $599 and $900, so they got for $600,000. They got supposedly a property that's worth about $660 if this comp is true. Okay, so they got about $60K in equity if that comp is true. Now, if that comp is off, then they might have made even more equity or less, depending upon the status of that comp. But that's a person who just bought a property today at the trustee sale. Okay, so these are properties that are color-coded based on what happened. Now, when I get a result that's greater than 20, notice it says map reflects 0 to 20 of, and then there's a larger number, 341. Anytime you get a result like this, you can click the 40 or the 60 depending upon how many properties there are. I'm going to click the 60 and it repopulates the map. Notice I've got a lot more icons on the map now. Okay, and again, notice red are canceled, yellow means postponed due to bankruptcy, that purple one that's sold to a third-party bidder, and the green ones are simply pending sales. Okay, now whenever I have records that I've got on my report, I can always go in and open one up. Now I'm going to go to the future. Notice also, since this is a notice of sale report, remember they have estimated amount owed. That's the estimated bid, okay, which is only on notices of sale, not on notices of default. Notice on the right here I've got NTS sale date, okay, and whenever I do a notice of sale search, it's always going to put them in order by sale date. So notice these start with today's date, and as I scroll down, they go into the future. There's tomorrow. There's a lot that are scheduled for tomorrow that have already been canceled. Okay. And as I go further down the report, I see properties that are set for tomorrow that haven't been canceled. Okay. Now notice most of these do not have an announced opening bid price. That's normal. Okay. Most of the time, properties on their way to auction, the lender has not announced the opening bid. It's going to be a surprise. Okay. Now, in this case, here's a property on Bob White Lane. There's Bob again. He keeps sneaking into this presentation. So Bob White Lane in Aliso Viejo, this place looks like it's worth about $707,000, and it looks like they owe $537. Okay, so that looks like there's a significant amount of equity, about $150K in equity on that property at the auction going to sell tomorrow. Let's say I'm interested in the Bob White Lane property. Okay, I'm going to take my mouse cursor and I'm going to put it over the address and left click. Now I've got it open. So this is the property on Bob White Lane. Okay, now this is a it's number 2 Bob White Lane in Aliso Viejo. Now our system tells me this is a single family home, 1,838 square feet on a 4,500 square foot lot, 3 bedroom, 3 bath, so that's looking interesting. And I can zoom in a little bit and click on bird's eye. Okay, so these look like these are townhomes actually, because notice you got these matched driveways, shared wall, so these are townhomes. Okay, so now I've got a loan here for $510,400. From January of 2005. If I scroll down a little bit, I see a purchase date, same exact date, January 28, 2005. That's a good sign. That tells me this is a purchase first. I don't have much research to do on this property because I know this is a purchase first. Pretty straightforward to me. Now, also notice Bob White Lane, this is the address of the house. If I scroll up a little bit, the homeowner's mailing address is the same. So this is primary residence. Owner occupied. So Juan Landaverde. So Juan Landaverde is the trustor. Juan borrowed the money. He's also the owner on title, so he's the owner of the house. So this is Juan's house. It's a townhome. He bought it in '05. It was built in 1990. Now, if I scroll further down, it's set to go to auction tomorrow. Now, it's been postponed from before. The initial sale date was August 25th of 2016, but it got postponed. It got kicked down the road. All right, this happens a lot. That's why our system picks this information up and updates the information in our system. So a couple of things I'm going to do. I'm going to scroll back up on top and notice I've got my save button here, right? And next to my save button is my general folder. But if I hit the drop down menu, then I've got all these little folders that I've saved. Okay, so I'm going to save this one, and I'm interested in this one because it's on Bob White Lane, so I'm going to save it under Bob's Houses. Okay, now if I had created an Aliso Viejo folder when I did the XYZ folder and saved it, then I could have dropped this into that Aliso Viejo folder, but we're going to save it under Bob's Houses, okay? So I've made that selection, and I'm going to hit Save. Now notice the Save button's gone now because I've used it. So now that property has been saved to my Properties folder under the Bob's Houses subfolder, but it'll be in my general folder when I go to look. Now, I also can send this one by email because I have the send by. I'm going to show you that again. Right up here on top, right above the map and caddy corner to where the Bob White Lane address is up on top is send by email. This is what I can use to shoot this over to my buddy or coworker or partner and put their email address in this window and say, hey, go check this one out on Bob White Lane. Go tell Juan we want to make him an offer he can't refuse. Or go check this out and see what that condition is of the home and tell me what you think we should be willing to pay for it. Okay, so I can email that to my buddy. Okay, now notice also Juan's property, the purchase loan from '05 was 510 11 years ago, almost 12 years ago now, okay? So his property he's had for 12 years. The loan went from 510 to 537. So Juan was making payments, but he's now fallen down, okay? And now he's fallen down. He owes 530, but he's got plenty of equity. So I would make Juan an offer. Again, make him an offer he can't refuse, and if he refuses it anyway, be ready to bid at the auction. Now, I would have been on this already because he's been in our system since August, okay? But we're running out of time, so maybe I'm going to plan to be at the auction instead, or I'm going to hope it gets postponed again. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Notice it's been postponed due to beneficiary request. The lender's giving him more time. Okay, now also notice underneath the auction details I can select status changes as my update option, and I'm going to put in my email address. So this is in addition to putting it into my Properties folder, okay, because now I'm going to get updates to my email on this specific house, okay. If this gets postponed again, I'll get an email. If it gets canceled, I'll get an email. If someone else buys this at the auction tomorrow, I'll get an email. If they drop the opening bid price at auction to below $500,000, I'll get an email. So the status change is my favorite. If I just select dropped opening bid, I'm only going to get notified if they drop the price. I'm not going to hold my breath. There's already 150K in equity. Why wouldn't I buy this place? So I'm going to say status changes, and I'm going to hit submit. So I just automated this function. So now my virtual foreclosure researcher is going to send me an email if this property gets postponed or canceled or purchased. So I've got it covered coming and going on this particular property. So now I'm going to be notified no matter what. Okay, I've saved it to my Properties folder so I can go back and check on it whenever I want. I can send an email to my buddy to go over and knock on Juan's door and make him an offer, see if we can get him into escrow, and then call the trustee tomorrow morning before the auction and say, hold the auction. We're going into escrow. This is not until 12 o'clock. You got plenty of time if you're assertive and you go after the deal. Because the bottom line is this, if nobody steps in on this one, it's very possible that Juan could lose a property that's got 150K in equity. Now, if I offered him enough, to put 20 or 30 grand in his pocket, there's still some room there for me. Maybe I only want to give him 15 grand. That's when it comes down to what your budget is. Okay? If it makes sense to go after the deal, don't hesitate, go after the deal. Go make an offer to Juan to buy his property. And join us on Friday when we're going to be looking at more properties similar to this one, maybe in Orange County, maybe in a different county. Every day, every Wednesday, we jump in and we do some research. Every Friday, more importantly, we go shopping, because what we're trying to do is not only teach you how to look for the properties as they come up in the system, but we're teaching you how to analyze the properties and find the deal. This has been Bob with County Records Research. This has been our first webinar for 2017. Thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday, January 4th. We'll see you again on Friday, and we're going to find some more deals, because the deals are a-poppin', and all you got to do is go shopping.